In this video, I'm going to show you how to create basic documents in LaTeX, how to build them, and how to insert citations into them. When you install LaTeX on your system, it will come with a basic editor. For instance, Mac comes with TextShop. Windows has its own editor, but this editor is pretty useful for doing typesetting and for creating a document. So let's go ahead and create a document in the article class, and we'll say the title is my first article, author Greg McFarland, and then we'll put begin document and end document. And then we need to tell it to put our title into the article with the make title command. And we'll save this, and let's put it somewhere. Let's put it in documents, and we'll say new folder, tech example. And we'll just call this main document.tech. And we'll save it. And with that, we should be able to format it or typeset it. And here we have it, my first article. Not much to put there, but we can put some more content in it. So we'll add a section called introduction. And we'll put another section. We'll call this methods. And we'll create a subsection. And we'll call this details. Okay. And we'll put in some body text. This article is a basic introduction to the LaTeX processing system. So you know that commands in LaTeX have this backslash. So we say backslash command and then put the arguments of the command in curly braces. When we typeset it, we now have the introduction and then those other sections that we added. One thing that's important to remember is that LaTeX is a system-level software that can run from the command line, as well as a button that you push in an application. This is important because it means you can use LaTeX from the command line, you can write programs that are based around LaTeX, and other things like that. You don't also have to use a particular editor to edit your articles. So to show that, I'm going to go to this folder that has my main document.tech document inside it. I can edit this in Vim or another terminal-based editor or any other editor, text editor, notepad, whatever is on your system. And then I can run PDF LaTeX on this text file. And it runs, and it's created, and now that main document, that PDF, is created from this instead of just from that one button in this one application. So why do we use LaTeX instead of Word? Well, there are a few different reasons. One, and the most basic reason, is we provide the content and then LaTeX decides how it gets formatted. And then we don't have to worry about using a particular font or a particular margin size or whatever. Most journals, including BYU's thesis style guide, have existing tech classes. So instead of saying article, we could just say BYU thesis and run LaTeX, and all the formatting is done for us. Another thing is that the math in LaTeX is very, very beautiful and easy to use. So the multinomial logit model can be described as, and then we can put our equation here, begin equation, end equation. And then in between this begin and end, we can use special math notation. I'm going to spell multinomial logit model correctly while I'm here. We say the probability of person I, of somebody choosing option I given x beta is fraction. Then we put what goes on top, e to the x beta for I, the sum of j in j e to the x of j beta. And then when we save this and typeset it, we need to make sure that our braces match. Oh, it was considering that j as part of that command. And now we have our math in the document. And note that it has this reference already. We can give it a label, equation MNL, and then later we can say recall the multinomial logit model described in equation ref eq MNL. Sometimes you need to run it more than once. And now we have that. This also means this, because we've used the reference instead of the specific equation number, if we were to put in another equation before this, this number would change to 2 and this number would also change to 2. And all that is done automatically in creating the document. When I use LaTeX, I often will use the Atom text editor instead of TextShop. It has slightly more useful syntax highlighting. It also is the editor that I use for most of my other coding outside of R, at least. And Atom has a LaTeX package, which you can install from the installer. But if you do this LaTeX package, then what you'll get is when you add text to your document and save it, Atom will actually run LaTeX several times for you and put and give you a previewer window here. That can be handy, especially when you're working with multiple files that are in the same window, because then you have this good file explorer and you can open up your other files within Atom as you need to. One reason why you may want to see more than one file is because you may have bibliography that you want to include, and that requires having a different file where you store your citations. So let's put in a bibliography, and to do that we'll use the natbib package, and we'll use a bibliography style, and we'll call this plain nat. There are other styles, but this is a good one, and it looks close to what we use oftentimes, at least in the journals I submit to. And then we'll add a bibliography. And we'll create a file over here called citations.bib. Okay, and right now that file's empty, but this bibliography, when this command runs, it will look for this file called citations.bib in the same folder as the main document. So when I run this, there may be a warning because there's no citations yet, but now we get our references down here at the bottom, our references section. So now what we need to do is we need to add citations and references in the document. So let's say that here on Google Scholar, we have this Susan Shaheen article about bike sharing in Europe. Maybe you know that you can click these quotes and get the formatted citation in all these different styles, but we can also, there's this button here on Google Scholar and for most other databases, but we can say BibTeX, and then we get this text file that we can copy and put in here in our citations.bib file. And then you'll note that it has this tag on it, and we can use that tag to refer to the article. And we can do that in a couple different ways. So we can say cite textual, cite T, and then Shaheen 2010 bike sharing comes up, showed that bike sharing in many nations is different. I actually have not read this paper, but that seems to be what the title suggests. And that will create a author, year in brackets, and then the sentence following. We can also get a different article. Let's go back to Google Scholar and find a different one and say, copy this, paste it in here. You're going to say this is similar to findings from other sources. And in this case, instead of doing cite T, we could say cite P, or parenthetical citation. And we'll call this one DeMaio 2009 bike. And again, if you're using Atom, you may get some tab completion looking for the tags in your related bib file. But we save this, and it crunches through a couple times, and then when we get our document, we got the Shaheen reference, but did not get the DeMaio bike. Oh, it's because I didn't save it. So now if we come back here and save it, it should, yep. So now we have the Shaheen et al. 2010 showed that bike sharing, but this is similar to findings from other sources, and then in parentheses, DeMaio 2009. And then we have, in our references, we have these two citations properly formatted in alphabetical order as this style requires. Again, if you're using a different citation style, you can tell NatBib to do something slightly different.